We've all been there. You look in the mirror and wish you were him, you know? You wish you were the guy that's super confident, athletic, and commands the respect of everyone around him. But unfortunately, that's not you. You're constantly tired. You're scrolling mindlessly on TikTok. You're stuck on soft drinks and soda that doesn't really help you. You can't do a push up. You can't articulate your thoughts, and everyone pushes you around. You're the duff. The truth is, there's a version of you that can wake up with purpose, a version of you that can be him. No definitions needed. You know who I'm talking about. You feel it. You know, he's focused and locked in, and that energy cues his charisma and confidence. By the way he's walking, everyone can tell that he's him. Everyone can tell that you're him. And that version of you isn't a fantasy. He exists, buried under years of brainwashing from society and spiritual disconnection. I know because I've made that journey myself. And today, I'm going to share the one mental trick that literally forced me to become him. 6 years ago, I was lost. On paper, things seemed fine as they always do. Decent grades, friends, easygoing life, the simple things. But inside, I felt empty. I'd cycle between mechanical engineering classes and weeks of drifting aimlessly, literally drifting aimlessly, just walking around with no thought. Like sometimes I literally would lay on my bed the entire day. My body reflected my mind. I was soft, undisciplined, I was running on vibes, and it was tiring. And one night I hit a breaking point. I just turned off my phone and I laid on my bed. I was frustrated, I was exhausted. I felt like I was wasting my potential. So I did what any Gen Z would do. I turned to YouTube for help.
Are you serious right now, bro?
I tried everything the guru suggested. Guy, I was Ashton Hall. I was doing cold showers, meditation apps, productivity systems. I'd stick with everything for like a week or two. And then I'll slide back to where I started. You wake up, do the shower thing, you gotta do push ups and whatever. But none of that really seemed to change my need, my strong desire to find purpose. And then everything clicked when I had a conversation with a friend. What he shared with me wasn't another habit tracker or morning routine. I mean, I was already sick of those. It was something deeper. He spoke of a reconnection with God that completely reframed how I saw myself and my purpose. I realized I'd been building on a foundation of sand. All my efforts were about me becoming better for my sake, for my ego, for my desires. I didn't really have a true goal. And I mean true in the complete sense of truth. I just wanted to have, wanted to be able to impress people and have other guys worship me. That's not truth. It's fake. It's fleeting. That doesn't last. But when I began to see myself as created with a divine purpose, everything shifted. The mental trick I discovered isn't some clever psychological hack. It's the profound understanding that you are not your own creation. You were designed with intention, with potential built in from the start. And him, that version of yourself you're trying to force into existence, is actually who you were made to be all along. That's who you are. The thing is, it changed my perspective about everything and how I approach transformation. It forced me to adjust when I realized that your subconscious mind, that 95% of mental processing happening below the surface, is constantly seeking alignment with what you truly believe about yourself at the deepest level. So when you're disconnected from your spiritual foundation, your identity is built on shifting sand. There's no solid surface. Things like Instagram likes, keeping streaks, female attention, sex, social status, going out with the boys, sporty bet, temporary achievements that don't last. No wonder it feels like such a battle to become the man you want to be. You're just, you're in this constant cycle of trying to deal with what isn't real and trying to pass it off as authentic. But when you reconnect to your divine design, something profound happens. Imagine you're a compass needle that's been held away from north by a magnet. I think my engineering guys will get this a bit more. But the thing is, it takes constant energy and effort to maintain that position. Remove the interference, and the needle naturally aligns with its true direction. That's what happened to me. I wasn't forcing myself to become someone new. I was allowing myself to align with who I was created to be all along. Let me explain. First, I had to transition from viewing my relationship with the divine as transactional and perfunctory and move to a total acceptance of his ideas as entrenched within the Bible. Change your frame of reference, essentially. And as I began to intermeddle with scriptures and teachings, allowing myself to shift mentally, everything else became easier. So it all starts here because what you digest, what you set as your guiding ethos, determines what you become drawn to. I read about my body being the temple of the Lord, and working out started to make sense. I began to draw parallels between scripture and my life and found applicability. And the beautiful thing about God and faith is the more you look, the more you see. Our God is intentional about unraveling his plans to us. So first you see who he has called you to be, and then you see why it's important for you to take your place. He gives character and purpose and everything else, discipline, confidence, charisma, all the traits that define him are drawn from the external foundation of God, and so they become unshakable as well. The idea is if you're motivated by things in the world, then you're subject to the emotions and workings of the world. On the other hand, if your motivation comes from an external source, your criteria for validation changes. It's easier to please one God than to please the many gods of man because they all have different criteria and expectations. Shifting standards. The resistance I used to feel, that voice telling me to skip the workout, to procrastinate, to take the easy path, that voice didn't disappear, but it lost its power when I recognized it wasn't just battling my will, it was battling against my alignment with something much greater. And that is the great promise of Scripture, that He has given us power to bring all contrary thoughts to the knowledge of the first Him. So you can align your current state with who you aim to be. And because of that alignment, the pathway forward all of a sudden makes its way available to you. You can sort of discern it because your spirit is now connected to the one true spirit. That is the only way to properly navigate the world. Within months, people started noticing the change, not just physically, but mentally. The bigger transformation was in my energy, my focus, my confidence. I wasn't draining my mental battery, fighting against myself anymore. Like that, all that was gone. I was channeling that energy into creation, into service, into genuine connections, and trying to find truth. My relationships deepened because I wasn't using people to fill my inner void. Even my sleep improved because I wasn't lying awake questioning my worth or my purpose. The Everything just made sense. The most surprising thing is the freedom. So many guys think the moment you find spiritual connection, you give up your freedom. I discovered it's the exact opposite. True freedom comes when you're no longer a slave to your impulses, your insecurities, and your need for validation. True freedom is cultivated in the garden behind the bordered fence, where you are safe to freely explore without fear of harm. Like that is the complete state. Look, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. Even with this spiritual foundation, most guys today still struggle with one major roadblock: social media. Let's be real. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok aren't helping you become the man you were created to be. They're designed to keep you distracted and consuming rather than creating and growing. They're literally breeding weak men. I had to develop specific strategies to break these digital chains because without addressing this, my spiritual transformation was constantly under attack. There is a way out. And this isn't me trying to attack social media because there are positives to it. But we have to understand that if you don't get that balance right, you lose yourself in the process. You lose yourself to seeing what is on there and the glamour and the glitch, and you get drawn to it, and you forget that by being drawn to it, you are rooting your sense of validation in things that are ephemeral, as opposed to giving yourself to a higher calling. So if you're serious about becoming him, you need to cut this final cord that's holding you back. So click the video appearing on your screen right now to learn exactly how I broke free from social media addiction and reclaimed my time, mental clarity, and spiritual focus. So you can reclaim your years as well. Plus, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Let's hit 1K. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.